22. Who should subscribe? Yeah, that's you.
Hi, I'm Huck. I'm Clone. Yesterday, Clone and I were watching one of my favorite movies, Return of the King, and Clone got me to thinking. Go ahead, Huck. Go ahead and tell him. I know you want to tell him. Well, if you insist. Clone here couldn't get through the end of the movie without tearing up. Don't hold back now, Huck. Go ahead and tell him. I cried like a frickin' baby. Well, I wasn't gonna say that. Like an old lady at her granddaughter's wedding. Yeah, well, I cried so hard you had to check and see if we still had flood insurance. Yeah, well, you may need to have that checked out, Clone. Anyway, it got me to thinking that while not everyone is as ultra-sensitive as Clone here. No one is. Somewhere there must be a list of movies that are so sad or emotionally compelling that they're almost guaranteed to make even the toughest guy cry. So, I had Clone here last night do some research to see if there were any such lists. What'd you come up with, Clone? Well, this is a list of movies that make men cry as compiled by the advice columnist for eHarmony.com. eHarmony? Were you looking up movies or looking up women, Clone? Research, Huck. Strictly research. By the way, did you know that the vast majority of women on eHarmony claim that they have at least size 36D boobies? Clone. Anyway, here's the eHarmony list. And I don't know about you, but there's no way any guy came up with some of the movies on this list. I mean, look at them. Some of those are chick flicks for sure. You know, they read like a who's who of movies that women only wish they could entice a guy to go see. Fat chance. Really? So what movie doesn't belong on the list, Clone? Well, Terms of Endearment, for one. I mean, any guy that would even admit to seeing that movie deserves to be hung by his balls if he has it. I thought I saw you watch that movie. In fact, I think I saw you. You're not going to be satisfied until you've shredded every ounce of human dignity I have left, are you, Huck? Gee, Clone, I didn't really mean it like that. The whole point is that, well, everybody's different. We're not all going to tear up at the same thing. What really annoyed me is the fact that there were so many good movies missing from the list. So I decided to make a top 10 list of my own. You made your own list, Clone? Yes. And I highly recommend that you watch these alone. You don't need the kind of embarrassment that comes from crying in front of your girlfriend or, heaven forbid, your best buddy. I see. So what's on your list? Well, number 10 on my list is the only musical, Les Miserables. And I put it on the list because of, in particular, one scene where the little boy Gavroche is gunned down in front of the barricades and the orchestra swells up, and I'll tell you, that gets me every time, Huck. Clone, the version of Les Miserables that you're thinking of hasn't been made into a movie yet. It's still touring nationally in theaters. In fact, I think it's playing in Cleveland this week. Can we go see it? Well, we'll see. What else do you have on your list? Well, numbers 9 through 5 are all comedies. Comedies? Yeah, well, they made me laugh so hard I cried. Number 9 is Arthur, the original Arthur with Dudley Moore. Number 8 is Airplane. Number 7 is Naked Gun. Number 6 is South Park, Longer, Bigger, Uncut. Something like that. And number 5 is Caddyshack. Well, those are all very funny movies. I gotta agree with you there. But I don't think those are the kind of movies we're supposed to be discussing here. Well, if that's the case, then we need to look at my top 4. For number 4, I borrowed one from the eHarmony list Schindler's List. Now, I'll tell you, there's a scene near the end where Oscar Schindler is about to make his escape, but he starts thinking of what he might have done differently that could have saved even more lives. Well, if you're alive and breathing at that point, there's just no way you're going to hold back tears. I'd have to agree with you there, clone. Now, my number 3 movie, also based on a true story, is maybe a movie that many of you haven't seen. It's called Searching for Bobby Fischer. I like that movie a lot. My number 2 film is Gettysburg, starring Martin Sheen and Jeff Daniels. Good choice, clone. Very good choice. So, what's your number 1 movie? The movie that's guaranteed to make any man cry. The movie is Ordinary People, starring Donald Sutherland, Mary Tyler Moore, and marked the film debut of Academy Award winner Timothy Hutton. Powerful, powerful film. Here's a link to the trailer of that film, but I'm warning you, if you watch the whole movie, watch it alone. Well, I can see you put a lot of thought into this, clone. Now I'd like to hear what our viewers think. I mean, what do you think of the eHarmony list or clone's choices? Now, I bet a lot of you are thinking of a movie that wasn't even mentioned here. Leave a comment below or a video response and give us your choices for movies that are guaranteed to make a man cry. And maybe we'll review some of those in a future episode. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I'm Huck. I'm Clone. Until next time.
Huck Fit 22. Who should subscribe? Yeah, that's you.